Have you ever done have you experienced you guys like with coaching on psychedelics?
No. I'm very careful about that because you're really opening. For me, I wouldn't touch it at the moment. Maybe at some point, but it's a very vulnerable. I mean, as a technical term, state to be in. You know, somebody's very open. I wouldn't want the responsibility of asking a question, offering something while somebody's on the experience. I can't say that I haven't been thinking about it and been tempted, you know, because some tremendous outcomes, insights, learning I have experienced in conversation on a psychedelic trip. You know, maybe not on the height, but as it's like fading out, and that, you know, there's huge potential, I think. But personally, for me as a practitioner, I wouldn't want to have that responsibility with someone, you know, as a service provider, so to speak. You know, we are working in partnership, and that, you know, it's not that, oh, you pay me, I provide a service, but like, there's a big responsibility when somebody's so open, because whatever I say is gonna have a lot of weight, and I'm not comfortable with that.
But yeah, but isn't it that it depends also on which kind of substance you take and which kind of ritual is around that? And I mean, when you look at ayahuasca, for example, it is definitely more influenced by the people, shamans, facilitators who hold the ceremony, that the energy in the room is differently organized by them and influenced than I would say with the retreats we do in Holland, where it's like really the person is lying down there with a sleeping mask and eye shades, and it's the music playing, and it's your journey, and the facilitators are only there. But the more it becomes like a ceremony, there maybe it's not coaching, but you're definitely interfering with the processes of somebody, and sometimes it is necessary to interfere with the process to make the person not go crazy in that moment. So I think it is sometimes really good to do it, to help the person not to go into it if it's not the right time to do it. Exactly. Even though it's different to really like, okay, this is a coaching setting and we will take MDMA and then we will do a coaching session, for example, of course. But this it's also a very blurry line in how much do you, as not the taking person part, do interfere with the whole session.
Yeah, and that's also similar in coaching without psychedelics, right? That there's this myth that we can be neutral and not influence someone. Because just by our presence and just by body language or nodding, smiling, frowning, you know, just by being there, we're already influencing our clients. So I think, yes, we can do that more or less. And I think there's value in doing it less, right? While others believe that there's value in doing it more. And I get both philosophies. And I think the more we influence, the more we take responsibility. We share responsibility. And so when it comes to psychedelics, I want to take very little responsibility and make sure that my clients take the responsibility. So I liked the ceremonies. My personal experience was the ceremonies where the shaman was influencing less, not more. I liked the most where they held space rather than curate or guide a journey that was for me or for the group. So,
But I also wonder what Julia said, that it's really different with different substances. Because, for example, with MDMA, in the MDMA PTSD therapy, the therapists actually talk a lot. If you see the recordings from maps and so on, they talk all the time and they try to hint things to the client and just help to guide them. Interestingly, as I said, I had a solo MDMA session before, and I actually got the idea and the manual from a PDF, and the PDF is called MDMA Solo, and it's actually from the Kaslania Foundation or something, a foundation which was originally founded with Timothy Leary and Ram Dass and so on, so like these kind of guys. So the PDF is really not so open towards governments, so to say, and also not so open towards therapists. They say that therapists guiding MDMA sessions, guiding psychedelic sessions. They not like they don't say it directly, but they just, you don't need them. They just want money. They want so much money for that guiding, but you can guide yourself. And that made me, that made me think, because I thought, yeah, but with MAPS at PTSD, I mean, they need the therapist, don't they? But then I tried it myself, and wow, it's so interesting if you do it completely alone. So that made me think, what's true, what's not. I think, yeah, many different substances, many different approaches, they all can be true.
I made a big note here, solo trips, question mark, because you mentioned it twice. No, you mentioned it a third time. My coaching rule is when something gets mentioned the third time, let's jump in there, because at the time I wanted to get to know you a bit better. But that brings up a lot of questions, right? Because I mean, why work with a coach? And the general consensus, I thought, maybe disagree, maybe agree, based on your recent experience, maybe there's some challenge to that. That the coach or the practitioner or the therapist is someone who can see blind spots, who can point some things out that you're not able to see at the moment, who's holding space and entering a relationship with you, that there's things by definition you cannot do on your own. And from what I know to be true in the industry or in the profession, in the craft, is that it's that relationship with someone else where the value is. So soloing is something super interesting. Why work with a coach if you could do it solo?
Yeah, and I made the totally opposite experience in my darkness retreat a couple of weeks ago, where in the first 24 hours where I was totally alone, I didn't notice it at the time, but after my coach, he was a therapist, he came once a day inside for an hour talk, and after he told me some new things, how he saw what I was doing the 24 hours, he told me, you're just in your mind. Why don't you feel the things you say? And then I noticed, oh shit, it's true. I think I was just caught in my own thoughts, caught in my own mind. And I don't even know what would have happened if I would have been 7 days alone in the dark. I think I would just 7 days just, how do you say, mich selbst verarschen. What do you say?
Make a fool of myself?
Yeah, make a fool of myself, because my thoughts make a fool of my thoughts and of myself. And I think I would just have not get nearly as much out of it as I would have got out of it as I did with the therapist, with the coach, who helped me every day to speak about the things I noticed and gave me new perspective on the things. So I would never say that the one side or the other is right. But again, with the MDMA, I really felt like it was important for me to feel alone. It was important for me to not have help, to not even have the possibility to ask for help, because that means I need to figure it out myself, which also helped me to find the connection to myself and not find the connection to somebody else if there's a struggle.
Mm-hmm. What about safety concerns? I mean, you're obviously very, very experienced in terms of how these substances affect you, etc. Yeah. What I'm a bit concerned about is that somebody's out there is listening to this and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it solo. Like, I mean, people tell you we need a guide, but then, Jascha told me that, solo is really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all about the substance in the first place. I think MDMA is a lot easier for people to take in general. I think it's a party substance and most people have good experiences with it. But of course, set-and-setting is really important. And I also thought about that. And in the manual, the one from Timothy Leary, they say even if you have like a really deep trauma, like sexual abuse, just take a little bit more MDMA. Just take it a little bit longer. They say you need to take for more hours with more higher dosage. So, I cannot support this view because I have no experience with it, but it needs to come somewhere. Somebody wrote it down, I guess, with some experience. But of course, in no way I want to say if you have deep trauma, take MDMA alone. But it's just, I'm just so confused at the moment. So this seems logical, but of course, what MAPS is doing is logical. I wonder. I just wonder.